Hey everybody, welcome to another entry in my Energon Universe Discussion series. Void Rivals number 6 is out, ending the first arc for the series, and I have to say it ends with a bang, though maybe not as big of a bang as I would have liked. But a part of that might be down to my expectations. I was admittedly hoping for larger scale revelations, but Kirkman continues his slow drip world building, seeding future stories with what seems like a long game in mind. And there's a connection with the Quintessons revealed here, but it's only kind of revealed. Sort of. As in, we know the link is there now, but details explaining that link are pretty sparse. So there are still more questions than answers at this point, but I'm happy to be on the hook waiting for the next issue with this series as it continues to be a blast to read. And the fact that issue number 6 has some nice bursts of action certainly helps amp up the fun factor. Issue number 5 left off with Darak refusing to work with the group that rescued him, the Unifiers, unless they also rescue Solila, who is still in her Zertonian cell. Issue number 6 begins with Kanela, leader of the Unifiers, freeing Solila and returning with her to the rebels' makeshift base. There, Kanela reveals that the Unifiers have Agorian counterparts, but the two resistance cells have lost contact with each other. As Darak is an Agorian, he would be able to move freely enough on Agora that he could deliver a data packet to the Unifiers' allies to re-establish communications. In theory, anyway, assuming he wouldn't be imprisoned for treason like Solila was, as we know that Minister Doolin, Darak's father, is in on the conspiracy and working with Premier Zalilak. So we don't know how Darak will be received in Agora yet, but Darak and Solila don't really have much of a choice here as they're both wanted fugitives on Zertonia, so they accept the mission. But that plan is cut short as one of their own sold them out, forcing Darak and Solila to improvise, stealing a Zertonian motorcycle with the help of Handroid and escaping Zalilak's forces, pushing further north until they reach an apparently dangerous area known as the Wasteland. Back in Zalilak's chambers, the Premier's attendant considers the matter settled, in that there's no way Darak and Solila will survive whatever perils await them in the no man's land. Zalilak wants to make sure Darak and Solila perish, however, saying that they must send a hunter into the Wasteland after them, and there's only one who can do the job, one who instills reticence and fear in Zalilak's attendant, and who, curiously, must be revived to perform the task, someone named Proximus. And that's where the first 6-issue arc of Void Rivals ends. And we'll have to wait until March of 2024 until we can learn more about all of this. While the plot for Void Rivals number 6 is fairly simple and straightforward, the kinetic action sequences and the little pieces of world building peppered throughout make this book a compelling read. I think the highlight of the book is when it all hits the fan, forcing Darak and Solila to split off from the Unifiers. We get a cool sequence with the bike, with Darak and Solila working together to eliminate the drones in pursuit, and although brief, this part is pretty memorable and adds a splash of color and excitement to a relatively low-key issue drenched in a green and blue color palette. I also like this page where Darak and Solila take the Zertonian train, as it builds off everything that came before to really help flesh out Zertonia as a society and a place, something I've been wanting to see more of since the start of this series. This is the best look at Zertonia we've gotten so far, and this dystopian sci-fi city at night looks pretty cool, I think, and the pages of Darak and Solila traversing the city give us our first real sense of the scope of this civilization, and I love it. It's got a lot more of a sci-fi feel to it than the Premier's pyramid castle thing, which felt more like a melding of sci-fi and medieval fantasy. We also see firsthand how dire the situation is on Zertonia, showing citizens with nothing going hungry in the streets, while, to the surprise of absolutely no one, Zalilak has more triangle-themed food than he could ever possibly eat served as a single meal. Although we don't get any jaw-dropping revelations in issue number 6, there are still a lot of interesting things to consider that are continuing to build towards something, although what that is specifically still remains slippery. Obviously, there's the mention of Proximus, a mysterious hunter who needs to be revived to go after Darak and Solila. And Proximus is just one of those names that sounds like it could be connected to the Transformers universe in some way, and I do think it's suspicious that he has to be revived, but I've got my expectations in check. It could be a coincidence. To be clear, I do think that this is an original character, not a pre-existing Transformers character, but what I'm wondering is if he has some connection to Cybertronians in any way. He could simply be the mysterious character we see on the cover to issue number 7, or this person on the issue 7 cover could be an entirely new character altogether, one who, I don't know, maybe lives out in the wastelands, a potential ally to Darak and Solila perhaps, whereas Proximus could be a bigger reveal with broader implications. And I don't know, I could be barking up the wrong tree and it could be something else altogether. But one of the more interesting bits of new info in this issue, I think, is that Zalilak and presumably Minister Doolan on the Agorian side are explicitly working to prevent any kind of unification, viewing it as their sacred charge to keep the Agorian and Zertonian peoples hating each other to avert the coming of Goliant. This is interesting because it's diametrically opposed to the vision Darak had in issue number 2, which I interpreted from the text that there was kind of an inevitability to Goliant, whoever or whatever it is, and that the only way the people of the Sacred Ring could survive is through unification. So again, I have to wonder, is there anything behind these prophecies, or are they all bogus? And if they are fake, to what end? Who benefits? Where is it leading? And that ties into another interesting component, a part in the book where we cut back to the Quintesson judge and the Skuxoid. After having delivered Darak and Solila's makeshift craft, the Skuxoid scuttles off while the Quintesson judge offers some intriguing insight into why the word Zertonian got a reaction in issue number 5. The judge says, "So she succeeded all those eons ago. Zertonia is real." And then later says, "This is but an echo from our deep past. A memory of a rebellious child, something that has plagued us Quintessons far too many times." And this right here is the biggest mystery in the series so far, in my opinion. Who is this that they're talking about? This mysterious she? Could be Zerta, considering it was the word Zertonian that caught the judge's interest. And when Solila is telling Darak that he heard the voice of Zerta in issue 2, Solila refers to Zerta as she. Or this mysterious character might not be Zerta at all. She could have simply known about Zertonia in some way. Could this character, whatever her name is, be a Quintesson or a Quintesson creation of some kind? Personally, I'm tentatively leaning towards a creation, since she is, after all, referred to as a rebellious child. But whatever the case, her existence raises more questions. Does she have a physical body, or is she formless, something like an artificial intelligence? The latter might explain why, if this is Zerta, why Zerta is viewed as a kind of sacred being. But what did she succeed at eons ago, as the judge mentioned? Discovering Zertonia? Colonizing the planet? And or taking control of the civilization's development? Or taking it even further, did she create Zertonia? I think it's worth considering, seeing how the Quintessons played a part in the Transformers' origin in season 3 of the cartoon. But I do wonder why all the focus on the Zertonian side of things. Agorians supposedly don't believe in Zerta, and the mention of Agora doesn't seem to grab the Quintessons' interest at all, yet the two civilizations seem to go hand in hand, at least from our perspective as readers. So what is it about Zertonia specifically? And then there's the mysterious key that Solila was given in issue number 5, which we still have next to no information about, so it's just really hard to say anything conclusive for sure at this point. There are too many puzzle pieces still missing, but on the face of it, the Quintessons don't seem to know or care about Agora, but are interested in finding Zertonia, meaning they probably don't know anything about how Zertonia became half of the Sacred Ring. There is something in here, however, that the Quintessons worry that if they do seek out Zertonia, it will prompt, and I quote, "revelations that would shock our civilization to its core." I don't really know what to make of that statement, so I'm definitely missing some crucial information here. If any of you have any ideas or theories, by all means, please help me out here. Nevertheless, this issue seems to put the Quintessons on the trail to the Sacred Ring, ordering the makeshift craft to be confiscated and scanned for any clues that could lead them to Zertonia. Could the coming of Goliant have something to do with a Quintesson invasion and a rebellious child preparing for a reunion with her estranged progenitors? We'll have to read on to find out, but I suspect that things are really going to pop off and start getting crazy once the Quintessons find the sacred ring. So like I said at the start of the video, more questions than answers. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. The lingering mysteries are definitely part of what's holding my interest with this series, and I'm looking forward to what's coming next. It's going to be a bit of a wait, but at least we'll have the new Transformers and G.I. Joe books to pass the time. But that's going to be it from me. What are your theories as to what's going on here? What are your general thoughts on the issue, and how do you feel about the first arc of Void Rivals? I thought it was pretty good personally, and I'm already hungry for the next part. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, hit the like button as well as the subscribe button, and check out my other videos for more on the Energon universe as it develops. Thank you for watching this, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. See you again soon. Take care.